Hey, what's up YouTube? My name is Carlos and I am from the YouTube channel Daily Carry Solutions. Now, Shane could not be here for Pass the Mic Monday, but he has left me as your substitute content creator in hopes that I'd be able to go ahead and show you some pretty cool content. Now, just between us, Shane doesn't seem to be a Mondays type of guy because he's had a couple of guests going on during this Pass the Mic Monday series, and I got a feeling he really doesn't like Mondays. But in any case, I really appreciate the fact that he has me on the channel to talk to you guys. What I am going to talk to you about today is maintenance for your knives and tools that are made and manufactured in the USA. With everything that's going on with COVID-19, coronavirus, whatever you freaking want to call it, it's left a lot of time on my hands, and it's given me the opportunity to look at my setup and say, what can I use that's made and manufactured here in the USA to keep my stuff running at 100%. I think that this is going to be a really cool video if you actually use your knives and you want to go ahead and maintain them. Even if you're a firearms guy, you might want to go ahead and check this out because some of this actually applies to firearms too. So stay tuned. After the intro, we're going to get right into it. Hey guys, what's up? So, when I am in a pinch, these are the items that I use that are made here in the USA to be able to go ahead and disassemble, maintain, clean, and assemble, and sometimes even sharpen my knives. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and start with a couple of things that I think are essential for any knife collection, and they have more than one use. For example, right here, I'm going to start off with these two items. Now, obviously for the uneducated, this is a Q-tip. This is just your standard Q-tip that you can pick up pretty much at any grocery store. It actually has two uses, not only to be able to go ahead and apply certain lubricants and to clean and tough to reach areas, but it actually has another use that I'm going to go ahead and talk about a little bit later. So, moving on. One thing you're going to want to keep in every kit that you keep on you, and this is what I use every time I go ahead and I disassemble my knives. Once it's down to completely disassembled, I want to go ahead and clean it to the bare metal, and there's nothing that cleans it more than alcohol preps. So I actually pick these up every time I go visit my doctor, and they're really cool with giving me a couple. I have quite a few, and then I just save them. I put them in my pack, and whenever I disassemble my knives, I can go ahead and use this, strip it down to the bare metal, and get it ready to be able to apply a lubricant or even protective liquids for rust, corrosion, any preventative maintenance, basically. Okay, so something to consider. Those are two very basic things that I use. Now, to be able to go ahead and take down my knives, now, the majority of the times when you have a knife, okay, there are screws all over the knife, and these screws are different sizes, and they're not your average flathead or Phillips head screwdrivers. So, screws. So, one thing that I like to use, and in this particular case, it's not going to apply because it's not made in the USA, are u.s.a. Torx Bits. Now, u.s.a. Tools is technically headquartered in the US, but that's kind of where it ends because u.s.a. Bits, no, they are not made in China, but they are made in Germany and actually in some other countries in Europe. I want to say some parts are Swiss, but the majority of the time when you get these u.s.a. Bits, they are German made in nature. They are not made in the USA. So unfortunately, this is not going to work. And so that being the case, one company that is made in the USA, they do manufacture their parts here, is Bondis. Now, Bondis actually makes a really cool Torx bit set. The set that I actually got has 7 Torx bits and a stand for you to be able to go ahead and put them on, and they range anywhere from T6 to T20, although in reality all you're really going to be using is T6, T8, and possibly T10 for your knife maintenance. But they are made in the USA, and per their their information, their product information on their website, they state that they're made of protanium high torque steel. I don't know what the hell that is, but I can tell you that I have maintained quite a few knives from quite a few different makers with these, and they work extremely well. It has this kind of setup here so you can add a little bit of torque pressure to these and not only assemble but disassemble knives fairly easy, and I really like it. This actually is something you can pick up on Amazon, and that is part number 34745, just so that you know. In the event that you're going to be looking on the Bondis website, it is part number 34745. Okay, so once you go ahead and you disassemble the knife using your Bondis tools, and it's down to, you know, your your knife, your parts, everything, you apply your alcohol. One thing you want to use is either a metal care or even just a cleaner. Now, I like these wipes from Breakthrough Clean Technologies. These are multi-purpose quick wipes that I use because they clean, they lubricate, and they protect. And they're made for use on a variety of different things, everything from locks to knives to firearms and everything in between that's metal. I can use these around the house as well for doorknobs that are a bit squeaky, like hinges. I can use it for the rails and the garage. And basically, it comes in two forms. You can have these little single applicator packs, or you can actually have the bottle. I keep this because I use the tub for, you know, when I'm cleaning firearms or when I'm cleaning a lot of knives that I've been using, and I've just kind of been slacking on my knife maintenance. But extremely good stuff. It's non-toxic, it is odorless, and it is made in the USA. Particularly, these guys are out of Miami, Florida. A really cool bunch of people. Very cost-effective product. It's actually not expensive. You do want to go ahead and check this out. These are the Breakthrough Clean Technologies multi-purpose quick wipes. All right, so aside from that, once you have the knife disassembled, say for example, it's not a folding knife, but it is a fixed blade. I happen to have quite a few carbon steel blades and some semi-stainless steel blades, like in D2 or K110. The reason why I am talking particularly about these and not stainless blades is because they're much more likely to become stained or corroded or rust. Now, one thing you want to go ahead and keep on you if that's the case is the metal care cloth from ProShot products. Now, the metal care cloth is actually for use also in firearms and knives, but it cleans it, it polishes, and it protects it, kind of like the quick wipes. But I like to use this because it comes in a cloth form that is not as liquidy as the quick wipes. It's meant to create more of a dry lube protective coating on the blades itself. I've used these on my fixed blades whenever I go out, and I use them in the backyard of my house whenever I've had to go ahead and you know, like prep ribs, or you know, I'll go ahead and fix game. This is a really good product to be able to use to once the knife itself has been stripped down to the bare metal with, you know, say an alcohol wipe or anything like that. Use this, and it provides not only a cleaning method, but it protects it, and it provides a film that keeps it from corroding, and it keeps it resistant to corrosion and rust. And most importantly, ProShot products is made here in the USA. All of their products are manufactured here in the US, and they have recently acquired Clean Board Technologies. So if you see Clean Board and ProShot products, that's actually part of the same company. Now, this is catalog number item MMC. That's for I don't know what that is actually, because it's not metal care, but this is the metal care cloth that cleans, polishes, and protects knives. Really good quality stuff. You can go ahead and pick this up on their website, www.proshotproducts.com, or on Amazon as well. Okay, so say you have the knives themselves cleaned and ready to put together, and you've used your Bondis Torx Bits to go ahead and put them all together. Well, now what you have to do is you got to make sure the hinges of the knife and the pivots are nice and lubed, because you don't want to keep them from having less than a stellar action. This is a fantastic action because I have lubed this knife quite a bit. Now, one of the things that I used to use quite a bit. And they're still really good as well is KPL. This is AKA Knife Pivot Lube, okay? Good quality stuff. It is actually pretty good quality. And it comes with a needle applicator so that you can go ahead and apply it in hard to reach places. But this is something that they state was specifically made for knives. Now, I like things that have more than one use to them. And aside from that, I like supporting people that are close to me, that are in my backyard. Freedom Lube Technologies and Freedom Line products are part of Georgia. They're a Georgia-based company, and they not only make metal lubricant for firearms, but they also make them for knives. And they actually have a kit. It's a 2-part kit. It is a gun and knife universal lube and protectant kit for guns and knives. Now, the package actually includes a 1 ounce version of the Freedom Lube that you can go ahead and unscrew and apply. And aside from that, it actually includes a 1/4 ounce needle tip applicator that has an applicator that's longer than the KPL applicator. And plus, aside from that, it's also refillable. So once this stuff has been used up, which by the way, this stuff goes a hell of a long time without having to go ahead and refill. I've probably used this on about 25 knives, and it's just that little bubble that's in there that's been used. Once that's done, you can actually fill it up using the 1 ounce bottle. So, doing the math, you get a 1/4 ounce here, and then you get 4 refills out of this 1 ounce bottle. Really good quality stuff. You can actually find their stuff at freedomlineproducts.com, or you can also find them on Amazon as well. This is a Georgia-based company named Freedom Lube. I highly recommend you guys check this out, whether you're a shooter or you use knife maintenance. Really, really good, high quality products. So now that the knife has been lubricated, because it's been assembled, there are 2 things that you want to consider. Number 1, is the knife still sharp and it's still operable? Well, if it's somewhat operable still, and you sharpened it recently and you haven't really put it through its paces, one thing that you can use is a strop to get it back to where it needs to be. Now, this particular guy right here is pretty small, and it's called the micro strop, as you can see. Now, it actually has a leather surface that is not treated, but you can provide compounds and put them on there so that once this is ready to go, you really just have to strop it, and you can just go through the motions and get it right back to where it can continue being used, to where it's as sharp as it needs to be. As you can see, this guy is... I've actually been sharpening and stropping this guy for quite some time, and it's still hair popping sharp. I mean, this is sticky sharp. And all that I've been using basically for that is my micro strop, as well as my Spyderco Sharp Maker, because of the fact that this came with an extremely good edge. This is the Buck Marksman. This is the SK Blades version named the Grey Ghost. It's a Grant and Gavin Hawk collaboration with the Boss heat treatment from Buck Knives. Highly recommended if you get the chance. But anyways, stropping is a great way to go ahead and maintain your edge, but it could be that you have gotten to the point where stropping is not going to help your knife. So what I recommend is the Spyderco Triangle Sharp Maker. Now, I'm going to stress this from the very, very beginning. The Sharp Maker is actually one of the first tools I ever picked up when I got a knife. Now, a knife can only stay sharp for so long, even with stropping, to the point where you're going to have to go ahead and maintain it. So what they did over at Spyderco was something extremely cool. They provided this all-in-one system for people that are not used to sharpening their knives. It gives them an opportunity to be able to go and have a guided system as well as a freehand system. So a lot of people don't realize this about the setup, so I'm going to talk a little bit about it, okay? So first and foremost, I'm going to go ahead and show you this right here. For the people that like to freehand sharpen their knives, I'm going to go ahead and close this up for a second, and I'm going to turn it over so I can show you the bottom. Now, if you notice, there's these 2 cutouts at the bottom. A lot of people don't realize this, but this is actually for you to be able to freehand sharpen your knife. Okay, so say you're at a friend's house, you need to sharpen your knife, and all they got is this kit. Well, guess what? You're ready to go to be able to go ahead and freehand sharpen your knife and get it honed to the edge that you choose rather than the edges that are present on this particular knife setup. So this is a guided system in the aspect that it has two types of angles that you can use to be able to go ahead and profile your knives. But in this particular case, with this setup on the bottom, if you happen to freehand, you can actually reprofile it to any angle you choose. So the possibilities are limitless on this USA made sharpening system. A lot of people don't realize that, and it's something that I didn't realize until well into using it, that was even available. So what you're gonna find on this system is that typically what it gives you is two sets of stones. They have this one, which is the medium set, and then they have this one, which is the fine set. And you'll have to excuse me, I use this so much that I still have quite a few marks on the fine stones, okay? So aside from that, they give you two brass rods, okay? Now, you have two edge angles that you can use, and there are two ways to be able to use the rods that come with the particular system. So the 40-degree angle, which is 20 on each side, 20 degrees on each side, is used for the edge of your knife. Now, you can do it one of two ways. You can actually have it set up so that the triangle, the top of the triangle, let's say, goes forward, or you can have the flats portion go forward here as well. I use both, and the DVD that's provided with it advises that you use both as well. So there's that side. Now, on the other side is the 30-degree angle. Now, the 30-degree angle is actually set up so it is the default for the back bevel, or the bevel behind the edge of the knife itself. So the way that you would typically use this, okay, is you take the top and you go ahead and you place it right here in the slot that's right next to the two holes that are over here. Now, the two holes are actually set up for the brass rods to be installed. And then what you do is you place one hand on the actual, on this side that's actually covered, and then this acts as a further cover and a safety for when you are actually sharpening your knife, so that if for whatever reason you happen to slip, you will not cut yourself. I think that this is a really cool system. It allows you to be able to not only sharpen the edge, but the bevels themselves. You can actually purchase additional stones aside from the medium and the fine rods. I actually have a set of the ultra fine rods that are used to hone the knife even further, and you can actually get diamond rods that are used to break down the metal and do their part in, I guess, kind of a reprofiling of the knife itself. And if you ever want to keep this in a static station, they actually have holes on all four sides so that you can go ahead and place screws in there, and you can keep it nice and level on your maintenance block, so that you can go ahead and use this whenever you need to. I really think that this is a cool system because it allows you the opportunity to go ahead and use a guided system as well as freehand sharpening, and that's not something that a lot of people realize. But aside from that, there is also another slot right here so that you can go ahead and see. I'm going to put it at an angle, okay, so that if you want to be able to use it for, I don't know, something like a larger knife, or even just a more aggressive edge than the top portion of the sharp maker, you can actually place it into the slot here. And I'm going to go ahead and put it to the side so you can go ahead and see it. It's actually a bit more of a broader angle for you to be able to go ahead and apply some pressure to the edge of your knife and be able to go ahead and quickly sharpen it that way. So a lot of opportunities to be able to use this system and create something that is truly unique, not only just a 40-degree edge, meaning a 20 on each side, or even a 30-degree back bevel, but you can pretty much give any edge that you want, provided that you have this system and the right stones for the right steels. Now, I say the right stones for the right steels because 440C or VG10 or 154CM does not sharpen as easily, it sharpens much more easily than, say, a well heat treated D2 steel. a well heat treated a K110 or an S110V, or even M390 CTS 204P or 20 CV steel that you get from a lot of these high quality, custom, semi-custom, and production knives. Okay, so you want to make sure you take that into consideration when you get any of these things. The coarser the rod that you get, the more metal that's going to be broken down. The more fine the rod is, the more it's going to hone and polish the edge that you have already put onto the knife. So something to consider. All right, guys, we are at the home stretch, and there's just a few more things I want to talk about here. One thing I did want to touch about, and I'm surprised I didn't say it at the beginning of the video, was the NAF's maintenance mat. Now, this can be used basically dual purpose. I use it in my office as an oversized mouse pad and a knife maintenance mat. The great thing about this is that it educates you about a bunch of different things that you may or may not know about knives, such as different blade shapes, different blade grinds, the anatomy of a knife, the types of screws that you would typically see on the knife itself, and even blade angles that are basically the most optimal angles for the type of usage of the knife. So for general EDC usage, for very slicey blades, for thick fixed blades, it's something that's really cool, and it was actually made by a former employee from Blade HQ named Ben Banters. You may know him as the What Is Up Guys guy from Blade HQ's Knife Banter, and I mean, it's a great mat to have. It's something that's pretty inexpensive. It's made in the USA, and I highly recommend it. So definitely check that out. Their website for the NAF's mat is www.nafs.com. You can pick it up at Blade HQ, and I believe you can also pick it up on Amazon. So aside from that, I did want to go ahead and stress Loctite. Now, you can use Loctite for a variety of different things on the knife to be able to secure the screws anywhere from the clip to the pivot. Now, the general consensus is that of all of the different levels of Loctite that you can get, blue is typically the one that people like to reach for the most. Sometimes purple. It is a little bit weaker if you choose the purple one, but Loctite, as long as it's purple or blue, you shouldn't have a problem. Do not get the red Loctite. It is too powerful, and you're gonna strip the screws, and you're gonna have yourself one heck of a time trying to figure out how to get the company that owns that made the knife to warranty that fix for you. I just don't recommend it. Go ahead and get the blue Loctite. Now, there's going to be two companies that you're going to look for that actually produce the Loctite. One of them is Loctite, okay? And the other one is right here, and it's called Permatex, okay? It's both, they are both thread locker companies, and then you're going to see people that argue that one is better than the other, and that, oh no, that Loctite is better than Permatex, and so on and so forth. I use both because guess what, guys? They are both made by the same company. So, I mean, just keep that in mind. It really doesn't matter which one you use, as long as you have one and that you can use it. Sometimes you can go without using it, but I highly recommend you picking something like that up, because that could be the difference between the pivot screw constantly coming off and the knife constantly coming off center, and having a knife that stays on center and and it really will affect the action of deployment too. So something to keep in mind. Now, back to the Q-tip. Remember I spoke about that right at the beginning? This is going to be the last thing that I talk about. So when you use a Q-tip, aside from, putting solvent or something like that, it'll get to the point that it's, you're basically at that point where you're going to need to go ahead and place the Permatex or the Loctite, this stuff right here, the thread locker, onto the knife pivot. So if you notice, I don't have anything in particular you can use as an applicator. Now, sometimes what I typically like to do is to use something like a mechanical pencil. The tip from a mechanical pencil, you actually, you take the Permatex, you put it onto a little area, you just kind of dip it, and then you can add it onto the pivot itself, and then the pivot hole itself, you put the pivot in, you screw it in, and you can do it that way. Sometimes I do that, but in order to be able to go ahead and save the pencil, what I do is I take the existing Q-tip and I basically remove all of the cotton that's on there. Sometimes I'll even take a knife and sharpen it out, okay, just like so. Until it's left with basically a small surface that allows me to be able to go ahead and just kind of dip into that Permatex, and then I can just go ahead and apply it to that location. And believe it or not, it's a nice quick fix, and it does the job. So something to consider. And yeah, that's basically it, guys. Thank you so much for watching this. Thank you for your patience throughout all of this. These are things that I have actually been using, that I have been able to source from here in the US from a variety of small and large businesses. I highly recommend you go ahead and consider investing in these products. They're inexpensive and they work. And plus, at the end of the day, with a good 80 to 90% of these are small businesses that could use your help in getting the word out when it comes to their reliability, as well as just overall growth and feedback of their company. I mean, if you feel there's something that they could do better, feel free to reach out to them. If you have any questions about it, feel free to reach out to them. You never know. They might be able to go ahead and send you a couple free samples if you drop my my information on there and say that Daily Carry Solutions recommended some of this stuff. So just keep that in mind, and just remember, whatever you happen to use to clean your EDC gear, just remember, if you EDC, think of DCS. Thank you so much for watching. Huge thanks to Shane from the Late Boy Scout for allowing me to go ahead and host this video for Pass the Mic Monday. And thank you so much for taking part in this project that we have. I hope to see you guys another time. In the meantime, you take it easy.